Disclaimer, copyrights enforced. The following is based on true events, facts, fiction, second party observations, nonsense, hearsay, bullshit. You be the judge. One thing we guarantee is 100% pure entertainment. All names, places, persons, and things, etc. have been changed for privacy issues. This show is R-rated, may contain obscene language, nudity, not for persons under 18. Please listen responsibly. I'm ready, bros. I'm ready.
Ding, ding.
Welcome to Blow Hard, Talk Hard. This is your host this week, Rymer, here in the house, and I'm joined with my producer.
Pat in the house as well. How you doing?
Good. And Julian is currently away on vacation. Where has he gone to?
I think he loves Cuba. I think he went down there. He said something about a few fat cohibas for us when he gets back, so I don't know.
Yes, and a bottle of rum. That's what they drink down there, right?
I don't. Famously, yes.
Yes.
Get yourself a Cuba Libre.
Right. Not to be confused with the movie Nacho Libre.
Yeah, Cuba Libre is just a fancy way of ordering a rum and Coke.
Is the mojito? Is that also Cuban? The mojito, or is that? What's that?
I think mojito. It's a Caribbean drink.
Yeah.
You know, rum and mint and soda.
Perfect. That is exactly the summertime drink. It was popular at one point in time.
It's very popular. Margaritas and mojitos have made a serious comeback this year. There's more limes and mint being sold out there than you can imagine. It's crazy.
Incredible. I have not thought that. What would be the return cocktail for the summer of COVID Part 2?
Well, because everyone all the to-go cocktails. But yeah, they're not doing to-go highballs. They're doing... I think because you can charge a little bit more if you say that it's a mojito as opposed to just a rum and soda.
I had this experience in Boston, speaking of mojito. It was a few years back. Went to this nice place. It was formerly a jail cell for a lifetime in Boston, downtown. And now it's like the chic boutique, I think, hotel / cocktail lounge. And I was there with my my lady at the time. And the bar was packed. Everybody's having mojitos. I'm like, oh, you got us a couple of mojitos, baby. And she goes, do you need any money? And I go, no, I'm good. I got $25 in my pocket here. And I go up to the counter. I go, 2 mojitos. And they go, certainly. He brings them up to the counter. And he goes, that'll be $40. I'm like,
where were you? You at the Ritz-Carlton?
No, I'm like, oh, are these doubles? And he goes, no, these are just regular highball mojitos. And I'm looking around and I realize, I'm not the one wearing the Louis Vuitton T-shirts or Gucci pants, whatever people wear in that case. And I was like, hold on, I'll be right back. And I go to my girl, I go, yeah, can I get that $20? And she goes, don't have money? I go, I'm just going to leave a tip.
That's the sort of opposite story where, you'd famously walk into a bar to get a drink and it's like the seediest bar you've ever been to. And you're like, feel like, oh shit, I'm in the wrong place. You stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
But instead you ended up at the highest brow. And you're like, oh, what makes me stick out? Yeah, I don't have enough money to buy 2 drinks.
Yeah. I just see a lot of black cards going back and forth going, oh, are those room keys? Oh no, they're credit cards. I see. I just went here. I'm a student. I'm living the dream. And
yeah, exactly.
Man.
Anyway.
But the student years, that's probably the years that a lot of booze, a little bit of drugs, getting high. Remember those?
Yeah, well, yeah, because I was thinking, okay, have you seen any of the new Star Trek series, Star Trek Discovery?
No, I have not seen Star Trek Discovery. I've dropped off of Star Trek after the new gen and all that bullshit they had back in the day with the holodeck. And I was like, you know what? I'm off the holodeck and I'm out of here, and I haven't watched since.
Yeah, it's not a bad show. It's not my favorite. I kind of fell off myself, but I do have to say it's fascinating. It is the wokest show in the history of television.
And filmed in Toronto.
Yeah, and I'm not going to get into it, but one of the thing that got me thinking and why I wanted to chat with you today is the engine that powers the Discovery is not like your typical Star Trek warp drive. It's what they call a mycelium drive, which basically means it's powered by mushrooms.
Whoa.
And it's this sort of the super networking power of mushrooms in the universe apparently allows this ship to travel to points at the furthest reaches of space and time practically instantaneously. And I just thought it was the weirdest thing entering this sort of like they're using mushrooms.
You're telling me the mushrooms are far more powerful than nuclear power or the whatever they used to get the flux capacitor to work on Back to the Future.
Yeah, the dilithium crystals.
Yes.
Yeah, totally obsolete, made obsolete by spores and fungi. And so I was just thinking like that was interesting for them to sort of bring that into sort of the zeitgeist, because I'm wondering, because you and I are proponents of psychedelic mushrooms. We have done them together before.
Yeah, I'm
always
all
had a
in favor
good
of psychedelic
time.
Mushroom.
I do believe.
LSD.
Yeah, exactly. I am too. And I believe that everyone should try LSD at least once in their life, and you should probably do mushrooms at least once a year as a sort of mind cleanse / sort of pump up. And
actually, well said. Yeah, it is a good mind cleanse. It is a good kind of to get you out of your ego, or your ego out of the way.
Yeah, because psychedelics have sort of, they've always been around, but they've always been somewhat fringe. And you're seeing a little bit more things like ayahuasca and DMT really entering sort of this popular culture.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, I've never done it. A friend of ours did ayahuasca. He had quite an interesting experience. He was more.
I've yet to try it. I'd like to try it. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's on my list. I hear like crazy things about it, but like, if you get through the whole sort of process, it supposedly has crazy therapeutic effects.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to do, from my understanding, to do ayahuasca, DMT, just on your own, which I would not recommend it based on my understanding of it.
No, you're supposed to, if you're going to do it while sitting on the toilet or at least on the edge of your bed, because you may shit yourself.
Yeah, and vomit. And it's going to be ugly. But generally it's done with a spirit guide or a guide.
Some sort of shaman.
Yeah, to get the full experience. To really connect with the universe.
Sit in a yurt. You got to get in your yurt.
Yeah, on a dirt floor.
Exactly.
In the Amazon.
All things which would be interesting. But I guess the mushrooms, because this idea, because I was just kind of went down a mushroom rabbit hole the other day about the whole idea that all of sort of nature is connected through this, what they would call the wood wide web, and fungus and spores have sort of intrinsically created a network amongst all sort of living things like trees and plants, and connect them in this sort of symbiotic, beneficial way that allows them to communicate and feel, and like they're so intrinsic to the universe. And I thought it was just kind of fascinating, because it's still the idea that most mushrooms are kind of suppressed, maybe with the word, like it's illegal to use the psilocybin ones, and
the psilocybin is moving in a whole new direction right now, because over the last few years, there's been some underground practitioners that have been using psilocybin, including ayahuasca, like Gabor Mate out of Vancouver, though he got reprimanded for it. And now I hear he's, from my understanding, using mushrooms, but he's doing it legally. He's part of... I need to actually be clear on this, that there are some scientists and psychologists that are using it for helping people with PTSD. A lot of it's happening in Canada, in British Columbia in particular. I think maybe even here in Ontario. In the United States, they've been doing this, and it's been super beneficial. They're bringing people back from really dark places in their lives, some lifetime trauma, even some very subtle trauma. And with the effects of mushrooms, are helping them get on with a normal life and reach their higher selves and their fuller potentials.
Yeah, using it in a therapeutic fashion, not just a sort of entertainment kind of esoteric way.
Yeah,
and
that can happen with drugs, man. Drugs, I mean, you could be you could be high as fuck, smoking weed and giggly and, playing video games, or you can also use it to like really tap into your higher conscience
And I think any way that we can sort of move away, for not to be like a dingus, but like big pharma, like the idea of like chemicals and like pills as a sort of a way to treat any and all problems. But if we can go back and see that, oh no, there's these powerful agents that exist naturally that have been around for hundreds of thousands of years, because mushrooms have been here longer than humans.
Yeah.
Like that's a good thing. And these are things to be explored and sort of champion and celebrate.
Yeah, absolutely. Mushrooms. Back to the Wood Wide Web, not to be confused with the World Wide Web. I heard that correctly. Is that it has been discovered only recently that trees and forests are all connected through say it for me, mycelium. Mycelium. Yeah, mycelium. So it's like these little tiny mushroom threads that communicate between trees in the forest. And one of the studies they've done, and we've talked about this very briefly, is they've taken radiation and they've radiation poisoned a tree, and within like a mile or something like this, they noticed that the radiation was appearing in other trees, and trees were assisting that tree to take away the poison and heal it so it can keep the rest of the forest safe. And it's kind of amazing. And that was done through this little neuro network, like the little neurons in your brain connecting to this whole forest of trees. It's fucking fascinating, man.
Yeah, through the fungus. And it was like, and I think a good point in that story is that the trees were banding together to cure and help the tree, as opposed to say like, oh, this tree is sick, quarantine it and sort of shut it off from their network. They sort of went the other way and said, let's all use our tree power and the power of our fungal network here to help.
Yes.
And I think that we can kind of do that as humans too, if more people were sort of, expanding their consciousness and just kind of like, but also like
connected and not just individuals and self-important.
Open up those neurons, because a lot of your brain doesn't get used all the time. And if you can kind of use these, substances, for want of a better term, to sort of open things up, even if only briefly, it kind of gives you a glimpse. And it's like, like exercise, getting the blood pumping, getting more, oxygen and movement. It builds strength and power and awareness, which is good. Because I guess we can, like you and I,
because
and a friend of ours.
Stop right there.
Oh, yeah.
Because some people, people get hardwired on having a particular idea, and that's like the right idea. All right, and we can see this in our current politics right now here in Canada, moreover in the U.S. Oh, I'm this, and this is my identity, and I'm hardcore. I'm stuck with it. It doesn't matter if it's ruining my own life. I've got to believe in this only. But something like, and again, weed can do this, but mushrooms will kind of pull that pin out and go, oh, hey, here's another way of looking at it, and open up and take away that blockage and that pathway, and then suddenly go, oh, you know what? Some of these ideas are right, and some of them aren't working for me. And what about these ideas over here? And it helps create a bunch of rewiring your brain to allow you to have,
different perspective. Yeah, like perspective is important, and different perspective, and whether or not you always agree with it, just knowing that it's there and understanding it and meeting it on its level may help inform your position or anything like that. And definitely psychedelics just bombard you with perspective. You're like, and again, expanding that sort of idea of like mind and consciousness, it's beneficial. Like, even if it reinforces your beliefs, like saying, no, you know what, that does make what I think I'm even more correct. But as long as you have that sort of differing viewpoints, and then, because that, I guess, and then you like utilizing that for, the betterment of your life and the betterment of others, because if you, more perspectives, more open-mindedness means that is good for society.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And because it'd be one thing I wanted to chat about was when you and I and a friend of ours that did an experiment a few years ago where we did try microdosing, which if the people listening don't understand, it's when you take You can do it with both LSD or psilocybin mushrooms, where you kind of break it down to 1/100th of the dose, and you take it every couple days. You take it almost like a supplement in the morning, like a vitamin, and you're on this sort of you don't get the sort of hallucinogenic crazy effects.
Right. So with the LSD, which we did, we sourced from what we believe was a good, safe, solid source, a good scientist, if you will, of the LSD kind. And we broke it down. You can find a lot of information online into like 100 mils of a spirit, and just took it was vodka.
You're basically getting 1/100th of like a standard, like basically whatever one
and
micro.
When you take it like a vitamin, it's this. You want to you take a vitamin, you know it's doing something for you, but you don't feel vitamins. So that was it. And part of like what put this in the zeitgeist a little bit was when once on Wired magazine, Bill Gates was asked what was one of the most important or life-changing experiences of his life, and he mentioned microdosing.
Well, I was unaware that he tried it. I've just known other people that kind of tried it.
Yeah, and so that went through Silicon Valley, and all of a sudden became the kind of this like, this drug which was like stimulating people, and they started having more creative ideas, more energy. It helped with depression and people's like lack of focus and motivation, and it was life-changing. I don't think it's for everybody, but it was this for this small pocket of people. It started becoming more and more popular, and so I was curious for a long time, as were you when I talked to you about it, and you're like, man, I've been thinking about this too.
Yeah, so we tried it. Long story short, we tried it along with it. So there was 3 of us in our sort of little experimental group. Well, it takes about 6 months. It was over, and I found that it did have an interesting effect in what we were talking about, in that it seemed to be opening up different neural pathways that I don't normally use. And because our friend,
I'll tell you about he's manically depressed. He's chronically depressed.
But also, he's also a pretty chill guy. And I think I've noticed the interesting thing was that I became a little bit more snappier, because I'm a pretty chill guy, as you know. I'm not I don't really snap or get cranky. And I noticed that, so I was like, okay, maybe that part of my brain and sort of personality, which never gets used, which is sort of like the type of person that would sort of snap at someone or be quick to judge, it's kind of firing off in that way. And not that I didn't find it unpleasant, I found it fascinating, but it's like, okay, I can see that, and then if you could sort of maybe channel where that energy is going eventually to maybe do more good, as opposed to just being quick to judge or snap at someone, was interesting, because our friend's girlfriend said the same thing about him, and he's pretty chill generally. It's like he was a little bit snappy, and I think in our cases the microdosing was sort of opening up those sort of channels that just so you'll like sit dormant, because you're not, because there's certain people like, they always have a temper or whatever like that, and then you kind of try, and it's hard for them to move away from that, because again, it's just like anything. It's like your route to work or whatever. You get in these sort of ingrained pathways that, you just get kind of stuck in. Yeah. And people don't think about that with your brain, like you're thinking. Like that's why, again, expanding the mind.
For myself, because I am constantly thinking, and I'm thinking at times 2 or 3 thoughts at once, just while waiting to get one thought out. And they're just like, sometimes they all come out in a jumble. But when I was doing the microdosing, I actually had some the closest I could say is some inner peace, like all that chatter stopped. It was great. Yeah. It was a little bit frightening. It made me worried, because I was like, the world was a lot quieter in my head, as far as I'm a little ADHD, if you will. But then we have another pal from the US who was doing this, and
he swore by it.
Yeah, he had the most profound change. He was like dealing with some chronic depression. He's a genius as well, super funny, and I say genius, like a super smart guy, and would just like get downtrodden. But then suddenly, about a week or so in, he said these words. He says, "I think I feel what normal people must feel like." And I was like, what?
Well, that's kind of a profound statement.
That is a profound statement. And it was incredible. Like he was just like, he was far more upbeat, and he's done it. I've not done it a second time. He's done it a second time, and he's also has said that it was been even better the second time. It was like but 2 years later that he tried it.
Yeah, I might try in the fall because I have someone that I know that can get a little kit for the mushroom-based microdosing. Right. Just as an aside, because I hear they are different. One's a little bit more, again, LSD. I always use the term. It's a little bit more. It's an electric drug. You feel like there's an electricity to it.
Yeah.
That you can definitely feel that sort of like, especially like for such a small amount of something to really have such a profound effect, when you
mushrooms you're looking at, if you never taken mushrooms you can get on the ride for about, I don't know, maybe 4 to 6 hours,
yeah, and there's a lot of giggling involved.
It can be. I think people get on. I think for most people, I have met people who've had, like, you're dealing with some shit, it might not necessarily be the best time, and I can see why like people who are being treated with PTSD, if you're like going through some shit, maybe this is not for you. It could help you, but if you have someone to guide you or utilize it, I don't want to get all like, go take some fucking mushrooms. But for myself, my spirit, my energy, yourself is a lot more like upbeat and positive, and I wouldn't take them if I was feeling like fucking shitty. Like, my dog just got hit by a car. Hey, let's take some mushrooms. That's not the time to take it.
No, it's also not that. Yeah, like, don't take it if you're going to a giant concert. Like, how many people make that mistake? It's like, I'm going to go see a concert and do mushrooms, and like you end up hiding in the corner because it's too overwhelming. No, it's always nice to be able to do it in someplace comfortable. I saw Pink
Floyd, man, and that wall. It's all around us.
Yeah, I had to leave the Pink Floyd concert because I was high on mushrooms. Yeah. But
LSD.
Yeah, the LSDs, because again, if people haven't done it, it's
an LSD could be a little longer. It could, it's plan the day. Hours. You're looking minimum of 6 hours, but to feel maybe returning to a state of normal, but you're looking at 12 hours at least.
Yeah, give yourself 12 hours.
Yeah, have no plans, no phone if you can. Maybe even practice a day without the phone so you don't get phone anxiety.
There's no way you want to talk on the phone.
No. Grab a notebook, because it's going to take you to a roller coaster.
Go out to the woods. A lot of people like to go to the woods.
Yeah.
So I might try the psilocybin microdosing in the fall just as an experiment, or maybe over the winter.
Yeah, we should do a follow-up. We'll do a progress here on the show.
Test. But the other thing I just wanted to talk about mushrooms is because what people don't know is, like, just psychedelic ones aside, is that like the mushrooms that we eat as part of diet, we're kind of getting burned because they're so nutritious, but there's so many out there. Because did you know that when you go to the grocery store and you see like portobello and cremini and portobellini and everything like that, it's just the same mushroom. Like a cremini mushroom is just a baby portobello mushroom.
Which looks nothing like a portobello.
No, eventually we'll grow into that if they just let it grow. But they're only really selling you one variety, and then you got the regular white mushroom. So they're really only selling you maybe 2 varieties of mushrooms when there's hundreds out there.
Yeah, or the shiitake. You get the shiitake. Those are the top shelf. That's the good Scotch mushrooms.
Yeah, but then you can go down, like, I love shiitake, but I've, like, through my work, I can get all the crazy mushrooms. And there's a universe out there, like the chanterelles and morels and mayatakis and the honey/beach mushroom, enokis, like that you can go into, and you should have them almost every day in your diet because they're an amazing source of both micro and macronutrients. They taste amazing, and they're just really blessed. Like last night I had some chanterelles with this roast I made. It was crazy.
I just made a roast last night. It was plus 40 degrees outside. I said, fuck it, let's have a roast.
That's right. With some chanterelles and some standard
whites. What do we do with the chanterelle mushrooms? I have no idea what the chanterelle mushroom is, but it sounds tasty.
They're very bright yellow. You wouldn't, because you never see them in stores because they're a little expensive.
Oh.
You have to know, like, saying like morels, which kind of look like a pine cone.
Yeah.
I think are the
I've only
best
seen
tasting mushroom. Porcini is a famous one that you can't find fresh.
No,
those are almost always dry.
He's the opera singer, right?
Yeah, he's the fat Italian guy.
Yeah, the Porcini.
Yeah, as opposed to Portobello. He's the other guy. He's the other tenor, right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Bellini?
Yeah, they're about $10 each a pack of mushroom.
Yeah.
But mushrooms are, many of them are considered like very healthy. And I know that there's like there's
lion's mane.
Lion's
you
mane
ever see
for the brain?
I've not. Lion's mane are for brain power. You can buy a good coffee for Sigmato. We can shout them out.
Yeah.
That has a chaga mushroom and lion's mane, and it really blasts you in the morning. Dude, it's a little pricey, but
it's true. Yeah. It is a kick. It's just boom, it woke me up. I was like, what's going on? I'm not sure if I was supposed to feel like it was. I was thinking I'm gonna have to drink this for a month before I feel anything, and I definitely just felt more caffeinated.
No, yeah, and
it didn't look like it had more coffee in it. I'm sorry, I didn't look like it had more coffee in it, but I felt way more caffeinated.
No, yeah, lion's manes are crazy. They look amazing too. If you ever just want to see what one looks like, it looks like a lion's mane. They're beautiful looking.
It is beautiful.
They are also not cheap, but if you got to get fresh, I've only had fresh a couple times, and that's another one where you like to dry and make powder. But again, and it's super. As someone who's always into these sort of brain nootropics, lion's mane is a good natural source of. Because again, dementia, Alzheimer's, these are things that are can really affect yourself and your family around. If you can kind of take care of your brain now,
to mitigate the oncoming potential, because they are using this stuff and studying this stuff to see what the effects are with as we age. But this is the thing, we were talking about people, staying away from big pharma. My issue with that is when it comes to patents, there's an organization out right now who has a lot of clout in studying psychedelic mushrooms. And I would like to give them a shout out, but I can't remember the name offhand. And what they're trying to do is keep all of the active ingredients from mushrooms patent free, right?
Yeah, it's like, again, if you have some fucking asshole like Monsanto Bear coming in and saying we now control them, you can't use it. Spores, though, I couldn't see it being really hard. Probably, well, they'll find a way. Patent spores.
When it comes to like mass,
they're just so prevalent.
It's different if you're a guy and you know a buddy who's growing them in the woods or in a basement somewhere, versus, well, we got the patent on this and only we can make this, and we're going to charge this much, and it's just keeping one guy rich when it does benefit people, man. Like if we could really get this out there, if we could get out there and really help people get unstuck. Because that's what I learned during this pandemic, is how many people in life are stuck in a job that they hate, stuck in a relationship they're struggling with. Just
in a basement suite where with
a toaster oven, trying to cook a full lamb.
That's one of my poor problems.
Yeah,
that's one of those. Is oh man, you know what you should do if you're not a bachelor? What? Go in and buy a whole lamb, and also if you don't have a freezer.
Exactly. Yeah.
you got to cook and get rid of that. You got
to put it in the toaster oven. You have to cook it tonight.
It's going to start stinking up the place if you let it sit any longer.
Or you put a spit in the backyard of the apartment building and invite all the neighbors and make friends. That's a good way.
That's true. It seemed like such a good deal, but no one was allowed out. I bought the whole lamb at the wrong time.
About the burning tires, just to roast it. No. The doing the mushrooms, it'd be great if everybody could. I don't think it's for everyone. Personally,
I think everyone should try it at least once to find out.
Like if you're prone to some kind of psychosis or schizophrenia, I think I wouldn't want to be the one saying go try this, but I think it is good for everyone. I think the idea, it definitely made me more relaxed and less worried, I think, about some things in life. And
I used to
do it again.
I always noticed too, though, I think it's like once you do a heavy dose of psychedelics, I always had I know people in my life who definitely haven't had this experience because they're a little bit, I don't want to, for want of a better term, closed-minded. Like you were saying, like it opens up your scope. You understand exactly just how powerful the brain is, and that there's more going on in the universe than just what's in front of your face.
Right, and and the awareness of who you are in the universe. I mean, you can arrive at that point as well. Like see your place. Like I saw my place a couple times, and when I was like really more in a cathartic self aware space as opposed to hey, it's New Year's. Let's take a bunch of mushrooms.
Yeah, let's get wasted and
It
fucking
was awesome.
giggle the
But
night away.
but to take it and just be, to be with oneself, it was super powerful.
Yeah, and again, maybe this sounds a little hokey to people, but there's it's more than that. It's not hippie shit anymore. It's like there's true, like rock people do it. Everyone.
Hey,
It's a little bit more
I've
universal.
heard this, like mushrooms. I've heard this on other podcasts as well. So some of our listeners may be aware of this, but there's they say early Christianity was a mushroom cult. Yeah,
I think there's a lot of
and they're not the only ones, but there's been a number of religious organizations or more when we were clans and tribes that were the shaman would use this throughout the world. And here's something that if you doubt this and you're going, oh, that's bullshit. Google images, just Google Jesus and mushrooms, and you'd be surprised of paintings and pictures of Jesus holding mushrooms 500, 600, 700 years ago.
Yeah, I think there's one of the pharaoh. There's a picture of one of the pharaohs or something like from 5,000 years ago or something, where he's got mushrooms on his belt. It was a lot of the apparently, like a lot of the ruling classes would not allow the sort of serfs to actually have access to mushrooms. They kind of would say that it's a forbidden fruit, so to speak.
Right.
Because they didn't want them to have sort of the nutritional and also the kind of the knowledge that came with it.
Yeah.
So both like the psychoactive effects, but also the nutritional, because they were like, you're like eating cordyceps or like lion's mane, and you notice that it's giving you more cognitive clarity and ability. And it's helping you lord over the people. You as sort of a power hungry asshole are not going to want anyone else having that.
Yeah. But then again, if you have mushrooms, I can't see how you'd become that power hungry asshole at the same time. That's the confusing part.
Yeah.
Of
again,
course, you're around a culture of it.
You've been raised since birth to know that you're different and more elite than other people.
So let's talk about those mushrooms on the belt for a moment. So there's I know Julian is a huge believer. I don't know where you stand on this. That the aliens,
ancient aliens. I'm always for it. I like to. We're not alone in the universe. I think we've had this conversation before.
We have. Okay, and so it'd be interesting to get Julian's perspective on this. But have you noticed? And you mentioned the mushrooms on the pharaoh's belt. Have you noticed the classic UFO looks like a mushroom cap?
Exactly, and there's some theories out there that maybe mushrooms came from space, like spores originally sort of seeded onto the earth. Maybe they might not be quite natural. They just profligated here.
Exactly.
And because they do.
Go ahead.
Well, they're just because they've been here for like hundreds of thousands of years. Fungus are one of the earlier sort of plant. I don't even know if they're technically a plant. Life form.
Not a plant.
They're their own little thing.
They're mushrooms. They're
fungus. Fungus is fungus.
They have their own unique category, just like octopus. The octopus
is its own thing. Yeah,
it has DNA that no other species that we know of has.
Yeah.
So I think maybe, just for shits and giggles here, the mushrooms came from space, and the aliens, which they kind of look like, if you think about the classic alien, looks a little bit like an octopus. And they are interconnected somehow.
What would be fun is to do mushrooms and think about octopuses.
Yeah, and then that's how you end up with Captain Kirk making out with a green chick and going, you know what? This is pretty woke a long time ago.
Yeah, exactly.
The early holodeck.
And then to bring it round full circle to the beginning, and then we get to Star Trek Discovery, where they're using mushrooms to power on the thing in the most woke crew attitudes show in the history of shows, putting mushrooms, sort of salting it in to the zeitgeist, along with all their other open-minded, issues on that show.
Yeah.
But making it like, oh yes, mushrooms are the secret to exploring the universe.
Yes. So I'm not saying do mushrooms, folks, but if you do, enjoy the journey. Let us know.
Yeah, it's on the journey. Yeah, exactly. And we're not, saying that either way, but we do come at it from our own experiences.
Yeah.
And if you have any, comments or whatever, tweet at us at blowhardpod. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, check out our Instagram at blowhardtalkhard, and we're also on. Oh, you already mentioned the Twitter.
Yeah, that's about it.
All right, folks. Thank you for joining us. We're going to wrap it up there.
Yes.
Have a great week.
Yeah,
sunshine.
take it easy. We're back with Julian next week. Regularly scheduled.
He's
podcast.
back from Cuba. That's if he doesn't have to quarantine. If he's back from Cuba, we'll see him here next week, and we'll talk with you all.
And so anyway, it was nice talking to you, Rymer.
Good talking to you, producer Pat. Till then, ding ding.